Script title: The 1% Daily Routine. Anyone can follow to stay productive, healthy, and disciplined. Script: 92% of people who try to overhaul their daily routine quit by the second week. But you don't need a crazy 4 in the morning ice bath routine to get your life together. Today, I'm going to show you the exact 1% daily routine that actually works for normal people. By the end of this, you'll have a realistic step-by-step blueprint to fix your productivity, health, and discipline without burning out. But make sure you don't skip the nighttime tweak I'm sharing at the end, because if you get that wrong, the whole morning routine falls apart. We've all fallen into the exact same trap. You watch a video about a billionaire's morning routine. You see them waking up in the dark, running 10 miles, reading a book a week, and meditating on a mountain. You get incredibly motivated and you decide you're going to change 100% of your life overnight. You set your alarm for 5 in the morning. You buy a bunch of kale. You download 3 different habit tracking apps. And it actually works. For about 3 days, then Thursday rolls around. You're exhausted. Your alarm goes off and you hit snooze. You skip the workout. You eat a donut in the break room. By Friday, you feel like a total failure, and you go right back to your old habits. This is the all-or-nothing trap. When you try to change everything all at once, your brain completely rejects it. It's too much friction. But there's a totally different way to approach this, and it's based on a concept called the aggregation of marginal gains. Think about the British cycling team. For nearly 100 years, they were the laughingstock of the cycling world. They had won almost nothing. They were so bad that some top bike manufacturers refused to sell gear to them because they thought it would hurt their brand. Then a guy named Sir Dave Brailsford took over. He didn't come in and try to change everything overnight. Instead, his strategy was to find a 1% improvement in every tiny thing they did. They redesigned the bike seats to make them slightly more comfortable. They rubbed alcohol on the tires for better grip. They tested different massage gels to see which one helped muscle recovery just a tiny bit faster. They even figured out the exact type of pillow and mattress that led to the best sleep for each rider, and they brought those specific pillows to hotels on the road. They painted the inside of the team truck white so they could spot tiny specks of dust that might degrade the finely tuned bikes. None of these things mattered on their own. But when you add hundreds of 1% improvements together, the results are massive. Within a few years, British cycling dominated the Olympics, winning a staggering 60% of the gold medals available. Improving just 1% every day makes you 37 times better by the end of the year. It's about micro habits, not massive overhauls. So let's build your 1% routine right now, starting the literal second you open your eyes. Your very first move of the day has nothing to do with coffee. You need to drink 16 ounces of water the moment your feet hit the floor. Here's why this matters so much. You just spent the last 7 or 8 hours sleeping. During that time, you were sweating and you were breathing out water vapor with every single breath. You wake up chronically dehydrated. In fact, roughly 75% of Americans are walking around chronically dehydrated every single day. And studies show that this leads to a 20% drop in cognitive performance. Your brain shrinks slightly when it lacks water. That groggy, heavy-headed feeling you get in the morning? That brain fog? A lot of that isn't from a lack of sleep. It's from a lack of water. Water jumpstarts your metabolism and your alertness way faster than a cup of coffee. Elite athletes know this. If you look at how professionals operate, they prioritize massive hydration in the first 90 minutes of waking up before they even think about caffeine. The way you do this is incredibly simple. You put a full glass of water on your nightstand the night before. When you wake up, you do not look at your phone until that glass is completely empty. The most common mistake people make is reaching for the coffee machine first. When you drink coffee the second you wake up, you artificially spike your cortisol levels. Your body naturally produces cortisol in the morning to wake you up. When you dump caffeine on top of that natural spike, you build a massive tolerance, and you guarantee a brutal energy crash by 2 in the afternoon. Drink the water first. Give your body an hour to wake up naturally, and then have your coffee. Now, while you're drinking that water, you're going to run into the next massive trap. You need to implement the phone-free first hour. This means absolutely no scrolling, no checking emails, and no social media for the first 60 minutes of your day. When you wake up and instantly grab your phone, you're hijacking your brain's reward system. You open Instagram or TikTok, and you immediately flood your brain with cheap, unearned dopamine. You're training your attention span to require bright colors, fast edits, and instant gratification before you've even brushed your teeth. This ruins your baseline focus for the entire rest of the day. Think about how it feels to open a work email at 7 in the morning and see a problem you have to fix. Your heart rate spikes. Your stress hormones flood your system. You're entirely in a reactive state. You're letting other people's emergencies dictate your mood before you've even had a chance to breathe. To fix this, you have to change your physical space. Charge your phone in the bathroom or the kitchen. Do not keep it next to your bed. If you use your phone as an alarm, buy a cheap $10 digital clock from the store. Real-world case studies constantly show a direct correlation between high morning screen time and severe afternoon anxiety. The trap here is telling yourself, I'll just check one text. It never stops at one text. One text turns into checking the news, which turns into watching 5 short videos, and suddenly 20 minutes have gone by and you're stressed out. Protect your first hour, but wait till you see how we handle procrastination. It completely flips the script on how you work. Once you get to your desk, you're going to use the 3-item list. Most people write down a to-do list with 20 or 30 different items on it. They write down everything from finish the quarterly report to buy more paper towels. When you look at a list that long, your brain instantly experiences decision fatigue and paralysis. You don't know where to start. So, you end up doing the absolute easiest, lowest impact tasks just to feel a fake sense of momentum. You answer a few emails, you organize your folders, and at the end of the day, the really hard, meaningful work hasn't been touched. Instead, you're going to write down only 3 most important tasks for the day. We call these MITs. You pick the 3 things that, if completed, would make you completely satisfied with your day. That's it. You do them first, before anything else. This is actually a 100-year-old productivity secret used by top CEOs, often called the Ivy Lee method. Back in the early 1900s, Charles Schwab was the president of Bethlehem Steel, one of the biggest companies in the world. He wanted his executives to get more done. A productivity consultant named Ivy Lee came in and said, "Give me 15 minutes with each of your executives." Schwab asked how much it would cost. Lee said, "Nothing, unless it works. Send me a check in 3 months for whatever you think it's worth." Lee taught the executives to write down their top tasks at night, rank them, and only work on the first one until it was done. 3 months later, productivity had skyrocketed so much that Schwab sent Ivy Lee a check for $25,000. In today's money, that's worth over $400,000, just for the advice to shorten and prioritize a daily list. The biggest mistake you can make here is filling your 3-item list with easy, low-impact tasks. Be honest with yourself. Pick the heavy lifters. If swapping to a 3-item list is a light bulb moment for you, do me a huge favor and hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps the channel out, and we're just getting to the best stuff. Now let's talk about your physical health, because it directly ties into your mental discipline. You need a never-zero movement goal. You have to commit to a baseline of physical activity that is so incredibly easy you literally cannot say no to it. We often think that if we don't have an hour to go to the gym, sweat through our clothes, and lift heavy weights, then working out doesn't count. So we do nothing. We sit on the couch. But consistency builds identity. Doing 10 push-ups in your living room proves to your brain that you're someone who exercises daily. It keeps the streak alive. It maintains the habit loop. Set your absolute minimum baseline right now. Maybe it's 5 minutes of stretching on the living room rug. Maybe it's a 10-minute walk around the block. Maybe it's 20 squats while you wait for your shower water to warm up. There's a massive philosophy on Reddit called No Zero Days that has changed thousands of lives. The entire concept is that you refuse to let a single day pass where you do absolutely 0 things toward your goals. Even if you're sick, even if you're exhausted, you read 1 page of a book. You do 1 push-up. You write 1 sentence. You do not let the day become a 0. Stop telling yourself that a 10-minute workout is pointless. A 10-minute workout is infinitely better than a 0-minute workout, purely for what it does to your self-image. Speaking of getting things done when you don't feel like it, you need to use the 2-minute rule for procrastination. If a task takes less than 2 minutes to complete, you must do it immediately. Don't put it on a list. Don't save it for later. Just do it right then. Wash the single dish. Reply to the short email. Hang up the jacket. But this rule also works for massive projects. If you have a huge task that you're terrified of starting, you scale it down to a 2-minute version of that task. Procrastination is almost never about the work itself. Procrastination is a fear of starting. It's the mental weight of looking at a massive mountain and feeling exhausted before you even take a step. The 2-minute rule lowers the barrier to entry so much that your brain simply doesn't resist it. If you don't want to read a book, tell yourself you're only going to read one single page. That takes less than 2 minutes. If you don't want to go for a run, tell yourself you're just going to put on your running shoes and tie the laces. That takes 2 minutes. This framework is heavily discussed in James Clear's work on atomic habits, and it works because of simple physics. An object at rest stays at rest, but an object in motion stays in motion. Once you read that first page, you usually end up reading 5. Once your running shoes are on, you usually head out the door. The common mistake here is trying to trick yourself. You can't put on your running shoes secretly knowing you're going to force yourself to run 5 miles. Your brain will see right through the lie. You actually have to give yourself genuine permission to stop after 2 minutes. If you put your shoes on and you still really don't want to run, you're allowed to take them off. The magic is that 9 times out of 10, you won't want to stop. And the reason why most diets fail? You won't believe how simple the fix actually is. We're going to use the add one good thing trick. When most people try to eat healthier, they go into extreme restriction mode. They clear out their entire pantry. They throw away the chips, the cookies, and the bread. They tell themselves they're only going to eat grilled chicken and plain broccoli for the next 6 months. Restriction directly causes binging. When you tell your brain it can never have something again, that thing becomes the only thing you can think about. You feel miserable, you feel deprived, and eventually your willpower snaps. You end up eating an entire pizza at midnight on a Tuesday. Instead of cutting out all your favorite foods, you're going to focus on adding one healthy thing to every single meal. Addition creates a feeling of abundance. It naturally crowds out the bad stuff without triggering that feeling of starvation. If you want to order a pizza, order the pizza. But commit to adding a large side salad to the meal and eat the salad first. If you want to eat a big double cheeseburger, eat it. But drink a high-quality protein shake right before you do. Nutritional psychology studies consistently show that addition diets have a 40% higher long-term success rate than restriction diets. By adding nutrient-dense food to your plate, you get full faster. You naturally eat fewer slices of pizza, but you don't feel deprived because you still gotta eat the pizza. Stop going on crash diets. Just add one good thing to the plate you already have. Now, to make all of this stick, you need a 1% environment tweak. You need to design your room so that good habits are incredibly easy and bad habits are incredibly hard. Most people rely entirely on willpower to get through the day. They think if they just try harder, they will succeed. But willpower is a limited resource. It's like a battery. Every time you resist a temptation, you drain the battery. By the end of the day, your battery is dead, and you give in to your bad habits. Environment design removes the need for willpower entirely. You don't need willpower if the distraction simply isn't there. If you want to work out in the morning, do not leave your gym clothes folded in a drawer. Put them literally on top of your keyboard or your phone the night before. You have to physically move them out of the way to do anything else. If you want to stop watching so much television at night, unplug the TV from the wall and take the batteries out of the remote. Put the remote in a drawer in the other room. Think about how Google handled this in their corporate offices. They noticed their employees were eating way too many free M&Ms from the break room. Instead of sending out an email telling people to eat less candy, they just changed the environment. They took the M&Ms out of the clear glass bowls and put them in opaque jars with lids. Then, they put healthy snacks like nuts and fruit in the clear glass bowls. Just by adding the tiny physical friction of having to open a lid and removing the visual cue of seeing the bright candy, Google reduced M&M consumption in their New York office by over 3 million calories in just 7 weeks. They didn't ask anyone to use willpower. They just changed the room. Seriously, try the gym clothes trick tonight. And hey, if you want more easy, no BS tips like this every week, hit subscribe. We're building a community of people leveling up the smart way. Now, when you're actually sitting down to do your work, you need to use the 25-minute sprint. The human brain cannot focus deeply for 4 hours straight. It's biologically impossible. When you sit at your desk and tell yourself you're going to grind without stopping until lunch, you actually end up working incredibly slowly. You get distracted, you open new tabs, you check your phone, and you stretch a 1-hour task into a 3-hour slog. Instead, work in highly focused 25-minute blocks, followed by a strict 5-minute break. This creates a massive sense of urgency. When you know you only have 25 minutes to make progress, you don't waste time. You put your head down and you attack the work. Put your phone in a completely different room. Set a physical, visual timer on your desk for 25 minutes and focus on exactly one task from your 3-item list. This is widely known as the Pomodoro technique. It's incredibly popular because it works, especially for people dealing with ADHD or chronic distraction. It turns an endless workday into a fast-paced game. The biggest mistake people make here is skipping the 5-minute break. The timer goes off and they think, "I'm on a roll. I'll just keep going." Do not do this. You will burn out by your 3rd sprint. You must step away from the screen to let your brain reset. Stand up, walk around the room, look out a window, get a glass of water. Let your eyes focus on something far away. Then come back and hit the next sprint. The craziest part is still coming, though, because this next discipline hack feels like cheating. You need to use the forgiveness protocol. At some point, you're going to mess up your routine. You're going to sleep through your alarm. You're going to skip the gym. You're going to eat an entire box of cookies. When this happens, you have to forgive yourself instantly and get back on track the very next day. There is a psychological trap called the "what the hell" effect. It destroys more habits than anything else. It happens when you make a tiny mistake, and instead of brushing it off, you spiral. You eat one donut at the office, and you think, "Well, what the hell? My diet is ruined for the day. I might as well eat 5 donuts and order a massive burger for dinner. I'll start again on Monday." You take a 1% slip-up and you turn it into a 100% failure. To beat this, you adopt a very simple rule. Never miss twice. Missing one day of your habit is just an accident. It's life happening. But missing 2 days in a row is the start of a new, bad habit. Look at how professional athletes handle a terrible game. A quarterback throws 3 interceptions and loses the game. He doesn't quit the sport. He doesn't burn his equipment. He watches the tape, figures out what went wrong, goes to sleep, and shows up to practice the exact same way the next morning. Do not spiral into guilt. Guilt is a useless emotion when it comes to building habits. Acknowledge the slip-up, forgive yourself immediately, and promise that